Now, deepening conflict and famine in East Africa. Kenyan troops have been drawn into the civil war in Somalia between the government and the al-Qaeda allies al-Shabaab. Starving Somali refugees are seeking their escape via Ethiopia. From the refugee camp near Dolo on the Ethiopian border with Somalia, special correspondent Fred de Sam Lazaro filed this report.
It's here at the Ethiopia-Somali border that some 400 refugees arrive every single day, most of them women and children, most of them fleeing not just famine, but fighting. With normal escape routes to Kenya virtually closed by escalating conflict, the exodus of Somali civilians has moved west to Ethiopia. We ran into Adar Adan, who'd walked for 7 days to get to the Ethiopia line. She'd first come a few weeks earlier, but went back to Somalia to fetch 4 of her 6 children. She hopes her husband, with the 2 others, will soon follow.
I just went back to sell our remaining animals. There's nothing to eat. There's a drought. A while back there was fighting. Now there are government soldiers there, but there's nothing to eat.
When did she last eat?
We had some tea earlier today. Some lady gave it to us as charity.
She was heading first toward a reception center about a mile further in, where the Ethiopian authorities register newcomers. With care packages, they're moved to an increasingly cramped transition area. Until recently, the average stay here was about a week, but with regular camps at capacity, the wait has been getting much longer, says Dr. Benjamin Levy, a Michigan native who's been here for about 8 weeks with the group Doctors Without Borders.
There are currently 6,000 people that are waiting to be placed in a refugee camp. They've already crossed the border, they've already come for help, and they're currently not receiving much more than rudimentary help. They're planning to open another camp. That is at least a week, if not several weeks out.
So far, the number of Somali refugees who've landed here in Ethiopia is around 135,000, and it's growing. We're in the camp called Hiloane. It's the 4th camp that was built to accommodate them, and it's filled to capacity. Hiloane is 21 miles from the border. It looks on the outside like any dusty small town in rural Africa. Life goes on in the little shops that offer food items, tailoring, and battery charging. Cell phones are abundant, but not electricity. To get a keener sense of what people here have been through, Dr. Levy says, come to the camp's makeshift hospital.
Our mortality rate at one point was approaching 10%, which in a census of 60 to 80 children means that we were losing approximately 1 child a day. Tyler will try giving her thicker milk today, and I'd like to try to get her to see if she's willing to drink it by mouth.
That rate has gone down a bit, but many of Levy's patients struggle to hang on. This child is 3 years old. She weighs 14 pounds. From tube feeding like she's receiving to the protein-rich plumpy nut paste given to those who can still eat, nurses and doctors try to rebuild the withered bodies of dozens of children each day.
The malnutrition is the underlying problem, but the children that we bring within the hospital typically have very severe diarrhea 10 to 20 times a day, very severe chest infections, pneumonia, both lungs.
And they keep coming. Twice as many refugees streamed across the border in October as they did in September. For them, this seems like a promised land. Hassan Kulo survived a perilous 12-day donkey cart ride, including close encounters with the al-Qaeda-linked terror group al-Shabaab.
When we reached Bordeaux, inside Somalia, there were some al-Shabaab fighters there. They started to fight with the government troops, and they captured a lot of guns and ammunition, and they slaughtered a lot of young people. Then after that, nobody was allowed to bury them. In the end, people just threw their bodies in the river.
For now, Kulo, his wife and 5 children squeeze into a tiny tent. Yet it's the first time in years that they've had adequate food and shelter in relatively peaceful surroundings. He quickly took advantage of the medical care being offered. His 4-year-old daughter Saado suffered a respiratory infection and got a prescription for an antibiotic. But Kulo and everyone else here wonder what comes next.
A lot of problems forced us to come here, and now we are here. As for the long-term future, me and my children, we don't know anything about education. We don't read or write. We need to be educated. We need to be sent to South Africa or America to get some of these facilities so that we can catch up with the rest of the world. But there's no way we can go back to Somalia.
Resettlement to third countries could be years away. Canada, Britain, the U.S., and Scandinavian countries have taken in large numbers of Somali refugees in recent decades. For now, the challenge for the UN's World Food Programme is to raise funds to sustain the camps here and in northern Kenya. So far, assistance, including $650 million in cash and kind from the U.S. government, has stocked the warehouses with staples and critical supplements like this high-calorie premixed powder. Girma Mandefro is with an aid group contracted by the UN.
This is a 7 days ration for just one person.
And it's a fortified food to just boost people's nutrition.
Exactly.
Is it meant for children?
This meant for children, yeah. Children under 5.
There's enough supply to last through 2012, and the World Food Programme has begun seeking donations for later in the year. It's a challenging task for a region that's been chronically distressed and in need for years. Program spokesman Jaco Vali.
I can understand where the concerns or the donor fatigue comes from. It's challenging to show real needs of the Somali refugees because some of their displacement is induced by drought, and that doesn't show in the news camera lens as appealing than the damage what an earthquake or even floods can show. And Somalia and the Somalis fleeing to the neighboring countries have been an issue or news on the media already for several decades.
For his part, Dr. Levy says things seem precariously under control in these camps, but he's preparing for the worst. The news that Kenyan forces have entered Somalia to fight against al-Shabaab militants has made the situation more complicated.
My understanding is that that the camps in Kenya have seen a decrease in the number of people that they are seeing, even as the fighting across the border increases. We're wondering, does that mean that the people who need to come or want to come have come, or does that mean that that people are so entrenched and terrified that they are unable to leave at this moment, and as soon as the fighting lets up, there will be a new flood of people coming across the border? The situation is absolutely far from resolved.
So for both providers and refugees, planning is done on short horizons, with smaller victories: a smiling child, a relieved mother.
Fred's reporting is a partnership with the Undertold Stories Project at St. Mary's University in Minnesota and the Pulitzer Center for Crisis Reporting.